If you want to develop Android programs, there's certain software that needs to be installed on your system. And you already went through the setup in our earlier video, but this is a bit of a reminder and a chance for us to look at what we installed on our machines. Well, there's a couple ways to go about this. One is you can install parts individually. For example, you can install a JDK, a Java Software Development Kit. As of this video, Google or Android still requires JDK 6, so Java 6, not Java 7. You're also going to need Eclipse. The Eclipse IDE is it's the most common way for us to create applications in Java. And that IDE, that Eclipse installation, also should have a plugin, the Android Developer Tools plugin, or the ADT plugin, to make it easier for us to do our coding of applications. Beyond that, we need to install an Android Software Development Kit, or an Android SDK. We'll have to install some platform tools and at least one version of the platform that we're targeting, that we're working towards. Well, that's a lot of individual downloads, and so recently one of the changes that have come down the pipe from Android is that they've bundled a lot of this stuff together. So these days, instead of having to do a bunch of separate downloads, we can download most of this in what's called an ADT bundle. You're still going to have to download the JDK, so that's going to be something that'll end up being a separate download. So you have to go to Oracle, grab that, but from there you can grab the ADT bundle, and that's going to have Eclipse bundled in. It'll have the Software Development Kit, the SDK. It'll have the plugin for Eclipse, the platform tools. A bunch of stuff's already going to be there. It's a big download, but it's all in one at least. And so if you were to go out to the Android website, developer.android.com, there's a link, at least as of this video here. It's called Get the SDK. And this takes me to developer.android.com/SDK. And one of the things that we can do is download the whole SDK. And you saw this when we did the setup video. Well, that big download comes down as a zip file. And that zip file, let me go to my downloads here. At least right now, that's, how big is that? Big, 453 megs. Well, it's got a bunch of stuff in there, including Eclipse, the plugin, the most recent platform, an Android SDK, lots of good stuff. So we had you unzip that to your local file system. So on your C drive, perhaps, we have an ADT bundle depending upon your platform that you have, that name will be a little different. Mine's a Windows 64-bit and a particular version identifier on there. As you can see, when I look in this directory, we have an Eclipse folder right inside of there. If you're already familiar with Eclipse, you'll be comfortable opening that up and seeing that an Eclipse exe is there, so we can launch Eclipse right then and there. And it already has a plugin installed for the Android developer tools. In addition, there's an SDK directory. In the SDK directory, there are several subdirectories, and I'm going to call a few of them up for us to take a look at. One of them is the Tools directory. And in the Tools directory, I'm going to push you down towards Emulator. Here we go. Emulator.exe. As we're going to see shortly, Android ships with, or the SDK ships with, an emulator that you can use to program towards a device without having a real device connected to your system. So this allows us to have a tablet, a phone, different sizes. You can configure it, launched right there on your machine within an emulator, and you can deploy your Android applications to it to test it out. So we'll be using the emulator. We'll actually launch it through Eclipse, but if you're doing more command line type work, you see that it's something that's available here through the file system. Let's see. There's another one, just real quick, another one called Android.bat. You can use this, and we'll have a little example of it. You can use this to create a project, an Android project, and then add more stuff inside of there. We'll use Eclipse in our case, but again, in command line, Android.bat could be used for that purpose. Let me find another directory here under the SDK. We have platform tools. In here, probably the most interesting thing is the ADB command, or adb.exe. This is the Android debug bridge, And this gives us command line access to maybe a connected device or to an emulator, so that we can jump on that device or jump into that emulator and look at the file system, perhaps. Or we can execute queries on the MySQL, or not the MySQL, excuse me, on the database that comes with Android, not MySQL, but rather the database that comes with it is SQLite. Sorry about that. Anyhow, this platform tools directory comes with that ADB, and it allows you to get better access, get command line access into the running device. What other directories do we have here? We've got build tools. Here's another one. And under build tools, here's dx.bat. You might remember from a previous video that dx is the tool that we use at build time to convert class files into DEX files. Again, Android's going to do it for us. Eclipse is going to do it for us. But if you were doing command line work, you could run that on your own using this command right here. We'll talk about another directory, the platforms directory, in the next video.